sweeping aerial shots of mist-shrouded Himalayan peaks, the infamous Hump that pilots cursed as much as the enemy. Cut to archival footage of C-47 transports straining against updrafts, cargo nets swinging wildly below. Ominous orchestral strings build tension, layered with the distant rumble of Allison engines. In the sweltering spring of 1944, the China-Burma-India Theater, the CBI, as soldiers grimly called it, was a forgotten corner of World War II's vast canvas. While Europe bled under the shadow of Normandy and the Pacific roared with carrier fleets, a ragged band of American airmen waged a lonely war against the Japanese Empire's iron grip on Southeast Asia. Their battlefield? The tangled jungles and jagged mountains of Burma, where monsoons turned roads to rivers and supply lines into lifelines of desperation. General Joseph Stilwell, the irascible Vinegar Joe, led a multinational force of Chinese troops, Merrill's Marauders, and Indian allies in a grueling push to reclaim the Burma Road, the vital artery feeding Chiang Kai-shek's armies in China. For months, they'd clawed northward from Ledo, India, enduring ambushes, malaria, and dysentery. By mid-May, Stilwell's men had reached Kameng, a dusty crossroads town astride the Tanai River, where Japanese defenders from the 18th Division dug in like ticks. The enemy, sensing vulnerability, counterattacked fiercely, pinning Allied infantry under withering mortar and machine gun fire. Ground troops radioed frantic pleas for air support. "Send the birds! We're getting slaughtered!" Enter the Burma Banshees, the 89th Fighter Squadron of the 80th Fighter Group, 10th Air Force. Nicknamed for the eerie wail of sirens fitted to their P-40 Warhawks props, a psychological jab borrowed from the Flying Tigers. These pilots were jungle-hardened predators. Based at scattered airstrips in Assam, India, like Nagaguli and Moran, they flew the rugged Curtiss P-40N, a beast of a fighter with a snarling Allison V-1710 engine churning 1,200 horsepower, painted in olive drab with shark-mouth grins on their noses, red, white, and black fangs dripping menace. The Banshees machines carried a lethal mix: 650 caliber Brownings spitting 400 rounds per minute, 250-pound bombs slung underbelly, and belly tanks for extended loiter time over the front. The P-40 wasn't the sleekest bird in the sky. At 360 miles per hour top speed, it lumbered compared to the lithe Japanese fighters it would soon face. But it was tough. Self-sealing tanks, armored cockpits, and a dive like a hammer blow made it a survivor's choice in the CBI's unforgiving skies. Pilots loved its stability for ground attack, even if it guzzled fuel and fought the controls in tight turns. In the Burma campaign, these Warhawks had already shattered bridges, strafed troop columns, and escorted Hump convoys, claiming over 100 enemy kills by 44. Their motto? Headhunters of the air. And leading one fateful flight on May 17th was a man who embodied that ferocity. First Lieutenant Philip Reed Adair. Born in the dusty plains of Tuttle, Oklahoma in 1921, Phil Adair was no stranger to hard knocks. A lanky farm boy with a quick grin and steely eyes, he enlisted in December 1941, weeks after Pearl Harbor shattered the world. Trained at Luke Field, Arizona, he soloed in a PT-17 Stearman, then mastered the P-47 Thunderbolt at Mitchell Field, New York. But fate rerouted him to the P-40 in the CBI, where he joined the 89th in late 1943. By May 44, Adair was a seasoned flight leader, already nursing a distinguished flying cross from a solo intercept over Assam, diving alone into 64 Japanese bombers and escorts, downing 2 Oscars and scattering the rest to save his base. At 23, he was an ace in waiting, with a cool head for chaos and a knack for bridge busting that earned him whispers of the Oklahoma Reaper. Adair's flight that morning, call sign Bamboo, was a tight-knit pack of greenhorns and veterans, bonded by shared foxholes and bootleg whiskey. His wingman, Second Lieutenant Thomas J. O'Connor, Jr., the 22-year-old from Tulsa, dubbed Little Okie for his wiry frame and drawling wit. Fresh from stateside training, O'Connor flew tail-end Charlie, his P-40 Flung Dung, sporting a cartoon mule on the cowl. Element leader, Lieutenant Tom Rogers, a stoic Minnesotan in his mid-20s, whose steady hand masked a sharpshooter's eye. Rounding out the foreship, Lieutenant Martinez, the quiet Californian wingman to Rogers, whose Spanish blood fueled a fiery resolve in the cockpit. Dawn broke humid and hazy over Nagaguli Airfield, a rutted strip hacked from tea plantations. Ground crews, grease monkey marvels in sweat-soaked fatigues, swarmed the Warhawks like ants on a picnic. Lulu Bell, Adair's personal mount, serial 42-104768, gleamed under a fresh coat of OD paint, her shark mouth leering from the nose. Mechanics bolted on a 250-pound general-purpose bomb, wired the fuses for 5,000-foot release, and topped off the 75-gallon drop tank slung low. Ammo belts clinked into the wings, 400 rounds per gun, harmonized at 250 yards. Adair ran his pre-flight ritual, eyes tracing control surfaces, fingers probing linkages, a pad on the prop spinner for luck. In the squadron ready room, a canvas tent buzzing with flies, Intelligence Officer Captain Bill Harrell unrolled a crumpled map on a rickety table. Smoke curled from his Chesterfield as he jabbed a stubby finger at the target. A Japanese strongpoint south of Kameng, a cluster of bunkers and trenches hammering Stilwell's 22nd Division. Intel says Nips have 500 troops dug in, with AA light but mortars heavy, Harrell growled. Dive bomb the lead revetment, then strafe the flanks. Loiter 20 minutes for mop-up. Weather's marginal. Broken clouds at 5,000 feet. Valleys socked in. Approach from the north for surprise. Japs expect us from the south. Adair nodded, his flight clustered around like eaglets. Trail formation, 30-second intervals. I'll lead the first pass. Oki, you're my shadow. Rogers, Martinez, cover the pullouts. Jettison bombs and tanks at the first whiff of trouble. Radio discipline, short calls only. We're saving Joe Stilwell's bacon today, boys. Let's make the Emperor's pilots earn their rice. A chorus of yes-sirs and grins masked the knot in their guts. Breakfast, powdered eggs and spam, sat heavy as they trudged to their birds. Adair climbed into Lulubel's cockpit, the canvas windscreen zipper rasping shut. His crew chief, a wiry kid from Brooklyn named Sammy, handed up a .45 and survival kit. Machete, morphine syrettes, and a photo of his girl back home. Bring her back shiny, Lieutenant, Sammy said, slamming the armored door. Cut to engine start. The Allison coughs to life with a belch of blue smoke, siren wailing briefly as props bite air. Ee-oo, ee-oo! The Banshees cry echoing over the jungle. Adair advanced the throttle, feeling the surge through his spine as 100 horses yanked the Warhawk forward. One by one, the flight formed up. Bamboo 1, Adair in the lead. O'Connor slotting in 200 yards back, Rogers and Martinez trailing like ducklings. Taxiing into position, they saluted the tower. A bamboo tower with a windsock limp in the still air, and roared down the strip, tails up, wheels folding clean away at 80 knots. Climbing out northeast toward the Patkai Hills, the formation leveled at 8,000 feet, throttles eased to cruise at 220 mph and below. The Brahmaputra River snaked like a silver vein through emerald paddies, but ahead loomed the Hump's gauntlet. Peaks clawing at 12,000 feet, whipped by winds that could flip a C-47 like a leaf. Adair scanned his instruments, oil pressure steady at 75 psi, manifold at 28 inches, RPMs humming at 2,200. The cockpit smelled of hot oil and leather, the stick vibrating faintly in his gloved hand. Radio chatter crackled softly. Bamboo 2, feet dry. O'Connor checking in. 3's good, lead, Rogers. Silence from Martinez, but his wingtip winked in the sun, all present. Adair keyed his mic. Flight, this is Bamboo lead. 20 mics to IP. Eyes sharp for flak or bogeys. Remember, we're ghosts till the drop. Laughter rippled. O'Connor's voice. Ghosts with teeth, sir. Little Oki's got the bit. As they droned northward, the landscape morphed from cultivated fields to wild frontier. The air grew thicker, laced with the scent of orchids and decay wafting through vents. Adair's mind wandered to home. Tuttle's endless wheat, his ma's cornbread, then snapped back. This was no joyride. Japanese air power in Burma was resurgent. Kai-43 Hayabusa's. The nimble Oscars flitted like falcons from bases at Myitkyina and Katha. Lighter than the P-40 by 1,000 pounds, with clipped wings for tighter turns, the Oscar could outmaneuver a Warhawk in a dogfight, its two 12.7mm nose guns deadly in a snapshot. But the P-40 hit harder. Those 650s could shred aluminum like paper, and dove like a peregrine, trading agility for raw power. Tactics were key in this theater. Banshees pilots learned fast, boom and zoom from altitude, using the P-40's dive to slash and escape, never turning with an Oscar below 10,000 feet, where the Merlin-engined foes ruled the horizontal plane. Energy fighting, they called it. Height for speed, speed for options. Adair had drilled it into his flight. Don't dance with the butterfly. Hammer it from the clouds. 60 miles in, the IP, initial point, a bend in the Tanai, hove into view. Adair waggled wings. Flight, descend to Angels 5. Trail tightens. They nosed over, slipping through a layer of stratus, emerging into a vast bowl of sky. 15 miles wide, ringed by thunderheads. Mountains punched through the undercast like green fists, valleys choked with fog. Kamaying lay 10 miles south, a haze of smoke marking the battle, artillery flashes winking like fireflies. Bombs armed, tanks secure. Adair murmured to himself, flipping switches. The target grid glowed on his reflector sight. Revetments at 2530 north, 9645 east. Bamboo flight, this is lead, tally target. String out, 1 in hot. He rolled inverted, gray earth rushing up, wind howling over the canopy. G-forces pressed him into the seat as Lulu Bell plummeted. Airspeed climbing to 300, then 350. Crosswinds tugged, but Adair held the Pipper steady on the lead bunker, a squat pillbox spitting tracers at unseen GIs. At 5,000 feet, he pickled the bomb. A dull thump as the 250-pounder fell away, tumbling end over end toward the jungle. Pulling up hard, 4Gs squeezing his vision to tunnels. Adair firewalled the throttle. The Allison screamed in protest, supercharger whining as he clawed for altitude. Below, a geyser of earth erupted. Direct hit. Shrapnel peppered the canopy like hail, but no damage. Splash on target, he barked. 2, you're up. O'Connor's voice. Lead, visual, rolling in. The flight staggered their attacks. Rogers next, then Martinez, each peeling off in sequence. Bombs walking the line of trenches. Strafing runs followed. Wings rocking as 50s chattered, tracers arcing like fireflies into foxholes. Japanese heads ducked, return fire plinking harmlessly off armored undersides. For a heartbeat, it was textbook. Ordnance away, enemy suppressed, troops below cheering via signal mirror flashes. Pulling up after his second strafe, Adair banked left, scanning the bowl for his flight. Clouds scudded above at 6,000, a deceptive calm. Then, at 11 o'clock low, specks multiplying like angry hornets. 15 of them, 3 Vs of 4, 1 of 3. Ki-43 Oscars, wings glinting in the sun, red meatballs stark on fuselages. Already turning inbound, engines a distant snarl. They'd been waiting. Spotters on the ridges or sheer bad luck, Adair's gut twisted. Outnumbered 4 to 1, in a kill sack with nowhere to run. Bamboo flight, bandits! 11 low, 15 Oscars. Jettison everything. Bombs, tanks, guns hot. We're in the furball. The sky erupts into chaos. 4 P-40s scatter like startled geese as 15 Ki-43s slash downward, their radial engines a venomous buzz. Tracers streak like crimson veins across the clouds, stitching the air with lethal intent. The camera whips through the furball. Cockpit shakes, blurring the frame. Wind screams over canopies. Adair's world narrowed to instinct and survival. His thumb slammed the jettison switch, a metallic clunk as the empty bomb rack sprang free, followed by the whoosh of the belly tank tumbling away, trailing a comet's tail of Avgas vapor. The P-40 lightened like a feather plucked, gaining precious seconds in the dive. Break! Break now! He roared into the radio, yanking Lulu Bell into a gut-wrenching barrel roll. G-suit bladder inflated against his legs, but the turn squeezed blood from his brain, spots dancing in his vision. Behind him, O'Connor reacted a heartbeat too slow. Lead! Break left! They're on me! His voice cracked with the first impacts. Sharp pings like gravel on tin as 20mm rounds from a lead, Oscar chewed his tail. The Ki-43, piloted by a veteran from the 24th Sentai, had slipped in low and fast, its cowling flashing the red rising sun. O'Connor's flung dung shuddered, radio mast shearing off in a spray of sparks. He jammed the stick right, diving toward the nearest thunderhead, a wall of gray anvil promising cover. Little Okie, clouds now, lose him in the soup. Adair's command cut through static, but the wingman was already vanishing into the maw, engines echoing like a wounded animal. Adair leveled at 3,000 feet, heart pounding against his May West vest. The bull was a cauldron now. V's of Oscars wheeling like vultures, their 850 horsepower Hay 25 radials giving them the edge in the climb. He craned his neck, spotting Rogers and Martinez peeling off in trail. Bombs gone, but tanks still dragging them down. 3, 4, dump the externals. Regroup on me at 2 o'clock high. A chorus of affirmatives, then the reassuring thuds over the radio as Rogers' voice steadied. Tanks away, lead. Visual on bogies, 12 closing fast. The first head-on pass came like a thunderclap. 4 Oscars bored in from the north, wings level, guns winking fire. Adair met them nose to nose, the P-40's bulk a battering ram against their delicacy. Time stretched. A second into eternity as the range closed to 300 yards. His thumb hovered, then mashed the gun trigger. 6 Brownings erupted in symphony, muzzle flash blooming orange against the cowl. Tracers converged on the lead Hayabusa, a green machine with yellow wing bands. Its pilot, Lieutenant Hiroshi Tanaka, A 50-mission ace, frozen in fatal hubris. The rounds struck home at 250 yards. A storm of lead shredding the Oscar's nose. Ho-103 machine gun silencing mid-burst. Aluminum peeled back like banana skin. Glycol spraying from ruptured lines, the engine seizing in a cough of black smoke. Tanaka's bird flipped inverted, trailing debris, and plummeted into the jungle canopy below. A muffled crump as it cartwheeled through teak trees, igniting a pyre of avgas and bamboo. Adair's sight picture snapped to the next. Another burst, grazing the wing root, but the enemy broke left, overshooting in a desperate scissors. Elation surged. First blood, but no time to savor. The surviving trio looped back, tighter than physics should allow. Their low-wing design slicing turns at 2.5 Gs where the P-40 labored at 3. Adair's arms burned hauling the stick, sweat stinging his eyes under the goggles. "Flight energy state! Don't turn! Zoom 'em!" He hauled back, trading speed for height, the Allison gulping air as supercharger bit. Up they clawed, 1,000 feet in 10 seconds. The bull's rim a jagged crown under the clouds. O'Connor burst from the stratus like a phoenix, his plane a sieve. 20 holes in the fuselage, fabric flapping like battle flags. "Lead, I'm bingo fuel internal. Took a packet from that black-nosed bastard. Where's the party?" Adair glanced back. Little Oki slotting in ragged elevators hold but flying. "On me too, 4 more at 6 high." Sure enough, a fresh V detached from the swarm, diving with the sun at their backs, invisible until too late. Roger's voice cut in, taut as piano wire. "Lead, breaking right, Martinez is hit." Adair whipped around, the element's tailbird trailing smoke from a cowling fire, a 7.7mm round nicking the oil line. Lieutenant Martinez fought the controls, banking hard into the attacker, his guns barking defiance. A lucky deflection shot, ricocheting off the Oscar's prop, tore the enemy's aileron, sending it into a flat spin. But payback was swift. Another Hayabusa latched on. 20mm shells punching through Martinez's canopy in a lethal chessboard pattern. Glass shattered. The young pilot slumped forward, stick going limp as the P-40 nosed earthward. "No!" Rogers bellowed, inverting to follow, his Warhawks screaming in pursuit. Adair's radio flooded with curses and calls. "4's going down! Shoot! Shoot!" But no bloom of white silk. Just a dark smear against the green as Martinez augured in, 2,000 feet below. The jungle claimed him silently, vines snaring the wreck like a lover's embrace. Rogers pulled up, shaking, vengeance in his voice. "Bastards'll pay for that. Lead. I'm Winchester on the left wing, 3 guns left." The furball devolved into pairs and singles, the bowl a blender of twisting fuselages and contrails. Adair broke left, spotting a lone Oscar, the beautiful green one from earlier, its paint gleaming like jade in the fractured light. For a split second, admiration flickered. Elegant lines, clipped wings for bite, a thoroughbred against his plow horse. Then reality snapped back. The enemy jinked right, unaware, lining up on O'Connor's 6. Adair's blood iced. He kicked rudder, side-slipping into a lead pursuit, range closing to 400 yards. Deflection shot, tough at 30 degrees, the P-40's nose heavy in the crosswind. Adair led high, squeezing bursts, short, controlled 50 rounds each. The first missed wide, stitching palms below. The second clipped the tail, elevator fluttering. The Oscar whipped around, spotting the threat, but too late. Adair's third burst, 100 yards, point blank, hammered the cockpit, canopy exploding inward, pilot slumping as controls spasmed. The Hayabusa rolled belly up, green belly flashing like a dying fish, and dove inverted into the Tanai's mudbanks. A fountain of water and wreckage, then silence. Second kill. Adair's tally board etched another notch, but joy was ash. Martinez gone, the flight bleeding. "Lead, this is 3. Tally 1 on my tail, can't shake." Rogers' plea yanked Adair north. He banked hard, the G-meter spiking to 4, vision tunneling again. There, Rogers in a lumbering turn, an Oscar glued like a shadow, its pilot, a cocky ensign from Tokyo, firing disciplined bursts, rounds pocking the P-40's flank. Adair dove from perch, Lulu Bell's dive brakes popping to shed speed, closing like a falcon on a sparrow. "Hold him, Tom, bracketing!" Rogers complied, tightening the circle until black spots swarmed his eyes. The Oscar's tracers whizzing past his prop. Adair arrived in thunder. A shallow dive. Guns harmonized perfect, 200 yards closing to 100 in a blink. His 50s roared, converging on the enemy's fuselage. No deflection, pure broadside. The Hayabusa disintegrated mid-turn, wing roots severing in a blizzard of rivets and fabric, the cockpit a ruin of red mist. It cartwheeled skyward, then plummeted, crashing through a ridgeline in a fireball that lit the valley like dawn. Rogers whooped, "Splash, courtesy of Bamboo Lead. Owe you a case, Phil." But the respite shattered. The main swarm regrouped, 9 Oscars left, wheeling south like a storm front. O'Connor's voice broke through. "Lead, low fuel, 20 minutes max. And I've got company, 2 at 9 diving." Adair scanned. Sure enough, a pair of the faster birds stooping from the clouds, their shadows racing across the treetops. The flight coalesced instinctively, Adair high. Rogers and O'Connor echelon left, forming a defensive wheel, trading altitude for mutual cover. The attackers struck first. Head-on with the lead Oscar, guns blazing. Adair fired back, rounds exchanging like fencers' thrusts. A 12.7mm slug shattering his gun sight glass in a diamond spray. He flinched, but held. His counter shredded the enemy's prop, blades windmilling to a halt. The Hayabusa glided briefly, pilot bailing out in a tumble of limbs, chute blooming laid over the enemy lines below. Probable. But the second Oscar overshot, close enough Adair felt the slipstream buffet, a ghostly whump through the airframe. Too close. That one. O'Connor muttered, his own pass grazing the foe's wingtip. The pair broke off, climbing for another loop, but the wheel held. Rogers snapped a snapshot, 50s chattering. No hit, but it scattered them. For minutes that felt like hours. The trio circled. P-40s blunt and stubborn. Oscars darting like knives. Fuel gauges dipped. Adair's at half, O'Connor's critical. While ammo counters whirred down. 300 rounds left per gun. Make 'em count. Then a fatal mistake. One Oscar, low on the wheel, greedy for a shot, pressed too hard, turning inside Rogers. The Minnesotan's voice steadied. "Got you now, you slant-eyed devil." He reversed hard, the P-40 groaning, and latched onto the tail. Burst after burst, 50, 100 yards, the Brownings preaching gospel. The Oscar juked, but Rogers led true. Rounds marching up the fuselage, igniting the self-seal tank in a whoosh of orange flame. It snapped into a dive, pilot nursing it toward home, but trailing fire like a comet. Rogers followed, one final hammer blow severing the tail, the wreck spiraling into a cliff face, exploding in a bloom of rock and fire. His first kill, claimed in blood. Adair keyed the mic, voice raw. "Good shooting, 3, but we're cooked. Low state, down to pairs. Bingo fuel soon. Head for the barn." Affirmatives crackled, but O'Connor's tone worried. "Lead, I'm leaking bad. 1 in 11 holes, wings weeping. But I'm with you." They broke north, weaving through valleys, Oscars shadowing at distance now, wary of the hammer. 20 miles out, a miracle. A lone P-40 limping from the east, smoke wisping from its cowl. "Bamboo Lead, this is—" "Hell, it's Martinez!" He punched out and got picked up. "No, wait, that's not 4. Adair's eyes widened. "Another flight?" "No," radio clarified. "This is Bamboo 3. Wait, Rogers, you copy?" Confusion reigned, then clarity. Martinez's bird, somehow nursed back from the brink, engines coughing but alive. The Californian, bloodied but unbowed, slotted in loose. Took a graze lead, thought I was done. But she flies, 4 alive, against odds. But the Oscars weren't finished. A final V detached, pushing the chase. Bullets probing the formation's rear. Adair glanced back. O'Connor faltering, plain a colander. 2. Break clouds. Cover's there. As they dove into the mist, the pursuit faltered. Engines fading to echoes. The mist parts like a curtain torn asunder, revealing the patchwork of Assam's tea estates below. Emerald quilt under a bruising sky. 4 battle-scarred P-40s emerge in loose trail. Engines ragged symphonies of protest. But in the rear view, a ghost. One final Ki-43, a silver speck hugging the clouds, patient as death. The score shifts to a low, stalking pulse. Strings taut, brass coiled. Adair's eyes flicked to the mirror, a habit drilled deeper than bone. There it was, the lone Oscar, a straggler from the swarm, orbiting high at 7,000 feet, conserving fuel for the kill. Its pilot, a seasoned warrant officer named Cato, with 10 victories etched on his log, had broken from the V, drawn by the lure of crippled prey. O'Connor's flung dung was the magnet, trailing oily smoke from a punctured coolant line. Elevators ragged as lace, the bird limping at 180 mef. Lead. "I've got a shadow, 10 o'clock high. Pacing us like a shark," O'Connor reported, his drawl edged with fatigue. "Copy that. 2. Everyone, tighten up. Echelon right. 3, 4, eyes out." Adair's voice was gravel now, parched from hours of calls and curses. Rogers slotted in beside Martinez, the Californian's plane a patchwork of tape and prayer. Cowling fire long since starved by a flipped valve. The formation wove through a narrow pass, ridgelines clawing skyward like accusing fingers. The Tanai's floodplains a muddy scar behind. 25 miles to Sadia Strip, friendly dirt hacked from the jungle. But every mile a gauntlet. Fuel needles trembled in the red. Adair's at 15 gallons, bingo crossed 5 minutes back. 15 gallons, bingo crossed 5 minutes back. Kato struck from the blind side, a shallow dive uncoiling like a spring. No warning growl, just the sudden chatter of Ho 103s, 12.7mm rounds lancing through the undercast. O'Connor jinked left, too late. Impacts marched up his fuselage, shattering the rear glass in a crystalline rain. Taking hits, glycol's gone, he yelped, the P-40's nose dipping as steam vented from the Allison in white plumes. Adair inverted instantly, scanning the sky. There, the Oscar pulling up, belly exposed in arrogance. Flight, cover 2, I've got the bastard! He firewalled the throttle, Lulu Bell surging forward with a reluctant bellow, supercharger whining like a banshee unchained. The chase was poetry in peril. P-40 heavy but relentless, Oscar nimble but spent. Adair closed the gap in the dive, 400 yards to 300, wind battering the canopy like fists. Kato spotted the pursuit, breaking into a climbing spiral, his radial engine clawing air at full bore. Adair followed, G-forces building to 3, then 4. Arms straining against the stick as the world blurred to horizon and contrail. Come on, girl. Give me everything, he muttered, willing the Warhawks 1-200 horses to bridge the void. At 5,000 feet, the Oscar leveled, turning to face its hunter. Head on again, steel wheels colliding. Adair's thumb whitened on the trigger, holding fire until 200 yards, conserving his dwindling ammo. 200 rounds per gun, a lifeline rationed. The gun spoke. A defiant roar, tracers lacing the gap like fiery rosary beads. Kato replied in kind, his burst wild under the stress. Rounds plucking at Adair's wingtip, fabric tearing with a rifle crack snap. But Adair held true. The pipper, miraculously intact, centering the red meatball on the cowl. Impact. A symphony of ruin. The first 50s chewed the prop hub, blades shearing like scythed wheat. The second burst gutted the cockpit, controls evaporating in a haze of hydraulic fluid and blood. Kato's Hayabusa staggered, engine coughing black, then snapped into an uncontrolled yaw. No shoot, just a silent plunge, the wreck glancing off a granite outcrop in a spray of sparks and twisted spar, vanishing into the ravine below. Third kill. Adair pulled up shaking, exultation hollow as the echo of his guns. Splash one more. Flight, clear? Affirmatives washed over the frequency, voices thick with relief. O'Connor. Thanks, lead. She's hurting, but flying. Little Loki's still kicking. Rogers. Visual on base. Sadia dead ahead. Winds calm. Martinez. Faint, but fierce. 4's good. OU boys around in the O Club. They nursed their birds lower, skimming treetops to evade any lingering patrols. The Brahmaputra a lifeline glinting west. The Hump loomed distant now, its peaks mocking their escape. But today, the Banshees had flown free. Sadia Strip materialized like salvation. A 3,000-foot scar of crushed coral and laterite, fringed by bamboo revetments and fuel bowsers. Tower crackled. Bamboo flight cleared to land runway 28. Winds 5 knots, emergency crews standing by. Adair waggled acknowledgement, throttling back to 1/500 RPM, prop pitch fine for the circuit. The formation strung out. O'Connor first, his approach a Dutch roll of damaged ailerons, wheels kissing dirt at 75 mph in a puff of dust. He taxied clear, ground crew swarming like bees to chocks and extinguisher foam on the smoldering engine. Rogers next, greased it on despite the hold tanks, a textbook wheels up. Martinez followed, his bird shedding rivets mid-flare, but sticking the landing with a skip and grind. Adair circled once, low pass to inspect. Lulu Bell untouched externally, a miracle amid the maelstrom. No holes, no scars, just the ghosts of tracers in his mind. He chopped power over threshold, tail dropping, mains whispering onto the strip in a billow of red earth. The Allison sighed to idle, prop feathering to a halt, silence crashing like waves. Canopy unzipped. Adair tumbled out, legs numb from the harness, boots sinking into the warm dust. Sammy the crew chief enveloped him in a bear hug, grease-smeared grin splitting his face. Jesus, Lieutenant, you look like hell warmed over. Whole squadron intact? Adair clapped his shoulder, scanning the ramp. O'Connor easing from his cockpit, arm bandaged hasty by a medic. Rogers lighting a lucky, face ashen. Martinez slumped against his gear, medic probing a gash on his temple. All 4, the impossible tally. Medics and armorers descended. O'Connor's flung dung counted 111 perforations, from 30 cal pinholes to 20mm craters weeping Avgus. Roger's mount tallied 123, left wing a Swiss cheese of entry wounds. Martinez's fire scars blackened half the cowl. Oil lines rerouted mid-flight with spit and wire. Adair's Lulu Bell? Pristine, save for a single 50 cal dent on the skid. A ricochet's kiss. Lady Luck's riding shotgun today, Sammy whistled, tallying the damage ledger. The debrief tent hummed like a hive, canvas walls sagging under monsoon threat, air thick with cigarette haze and iodine sting. Intelligence Captain Harrell presided, maps unrolled, grease pencil poised. Squadron mates crammed in, pilots from the 88th, ground pounders fresh from the line, all eyes on the Banshees. Adair stood at the pointer, voice steady as he sketched the bowl on the chart. IP here, target there, bandits vectoring from the ridge. We hit the revetments clean, 4 bombs on, suppressed the mortars for a solid hour. Then the Hornets, 15 Oscars 24th Sentai markings jumped us post-pullout. Outnumbered, but we jettisoned and fought. He traced the furball. First V down, O'Connor's break, the head on. Claimed one there. Greenbird, wingbands yellow, definite. Nods rippled. Harold jotted probable. O'Connor chimed in, arm in sling. Took a 20 mic packet early, radio gone, but lead called the cloud play. Emerged to that beauty contest with the Jade Oscar. Phil hosed it deflection style. Laughter cracked the tension, Adair waving it off. Rogers nursing coffee. Lost visual on Martinez mid-spin, thought we were 3 ship. Then my tail hanger. Lead bracketed him perfect, wing root away. Martinez, stitched and pale. Nursed the fire with the cutoff. She wanted to barbecue me, but held. Grabbed that low V on the wheel, probable bailout over our lines. Harold tallied. 3 confirmed for Adair, the head-on ace, the green deflection, Cato's final dive. Rogers 1 solid. O'Connor a damage probable. Total, 4 kills, 2 probables, no losses. The tent erupted. Backslaps, whoops, a flask passed under the table. Stillwell's boys radioed thanks, Harrell added. Your strafe bought them Kamang by dusk. Japs folded. Roads cracking open. Adair absorbed it quiet, the weight lifting like fog. Not just survival, but victory etched in jungle mud. Outside, sunset bled crimson over the hump. Silhouettes of C-47s droning east with blood plasma and beans. The flight gathered on the ramp. Beers pried from the icebox. Warm pilsners, but nectar nonetheless. O'Connor raised his bottle. To the Banshees, ghosts that bite back. Clinks echoed, stories tumbling, the whump of the overshoot, the jade bird's grace, Martinez's dead stick miracle. Laughter masked the shakes, the what-ifs, the shoot that never bloomed, the friend who might have been. Adair leaned against Lulu Bell's warm cowl, shark mouth grinning eternal. Home felt galaxies away, Tuttle's stars dimmed by these. But here, in the CBI's green hell, he'd carved legend, the Oklahoma Reaper, tally rising, squadron whole. Tomorrow? More missions, more skies to claim. The war ground on, Normandy fallen, Saipan stormed, but in Burma's bowl, 4 men had tilted the scales. As stars pricked the velvet, a distant siren wailed. Another banshee stirring. Adair drained his beer, tossed the bottle into the dark. Gentlemen, he said, grin flashing. Let's hunt tomorrow. Planes silhouetted against the moon, engines firing one by one. Music swells triumphant, horns bold, strings soaring, over archival shots of advancing GIs, the Burma Road reborn. Roll credits. Based on the valor of the 89th Fighter Squadron. In memory of the skies they owned. In memory of the skies they owned.